Is your resort's HOA prepared for an audit? If your property is hit by a major maintenance issue, can your board quickly and efficiently get on top of the situation? Hi, my name is Sharon Scott Wilson, and I'm the publisher and content director for Resort Trades Media Group. Now, today we'll be speaking with the professional reserve analyst for Daytona Beach beach-based expert reserve services, Anastasia Kolodzik. And she oversees the reserve study departments for expert reserve services and is a published author on reserve studies. So welcome, Anastasia. Thank you for spending time today.
Thank you for having me. And we're really excited to be on this program.
Well, we're excited to have you too. And I think this is such a vital component of managing an HOA or association that it's really hard to overstate the importance of it. So we're glad to have you. I did come up with a few questions for you. Number one, why is a reserve study important for timeshares and associations in general?
Fundamentally, all associations operate the same. They produce their budgets, they apply their budgets, and then they carry their budgets through the next fiscal year. Having a reserve study for a timeshare and for an association is going to give the board and the unit owners the leg up on what things actually cost, what they need to plan for, and what's coming in their future.
Right. Well, then, what's the process and how long does it take to complete the study?
Well, of course, the first thing is you need to get a quote. So you can go to the website and fill out the quote form and get a quote. Then you can contract with us for a site visit, which means we actually come to the property. We spend 2 to 6 hours, however large the property is, going through all of the common areas, mechanical rooms, everything that the association is responsible for. We document this, we take information, we take photographs in color, which are produced in the report. We bring that back to the office, and then the research begins. Once we get all the research of how much is your generator going to cost to replace, how much is your roof going to cost to replace, and how long is it good for? We give useful and remaining lives for every component in that association.
Boy, that's a lot of work.
It is. It is.
I'd hate to be the person in charge of doing all that research, so I can see why, particularly single site resort management company or even multi-site management company would need somebody else doing all that in the background rather than hire a whole person to do it. So how does the reserve study benefit owners, though, and what are the key ingredients in the report?
So the way it benefits the owners is that they are comfortable knowing that special assessments, if the plan is followed, are very unlikely. Their property values would be maintained because they have enough reserves to repair or replace all the components in the association. If they decide to sell, they have mortgage capabilities that are outside of your normal mortgage capabilities because their reserves are intact. And it can affect insurance premiums. The key ingredients of the report are, like we said, all the components of the property that the association is responsible for. There is a financial analysis which takes in consideration their existing balances, their contributions at this point, and what their future contributions will be in order to create a steady flow of funds so there's no worries.
Right. Well, what can happen to a resort and its board if they don't have adequate reserves? Could board members risk personal liability in such a case?
It is a possibility they could risk personal liability. That will depend on the state that you're in. It will depend on your documents. It will depend on the municipality and what the laws are locally.
So how frequently should such a study be conducted?
We recommend annual studies because inflation and construction costs come into play with this. If you reserve $10,000 for something today and you try to pay $10,000 for that same component in 3 years, you're going to be short. So we recommend annual updates. If not, it is on a 3-year schedule.
So what's entailed in hiring a professional firm like Expert Reserve Services to do this?
Well, the first thing we ask is complete transparency. We ask for the filing cabinet. We want to know when your roof was done last, when you painted the building last, when you resealed and resurfaced your asphalt in your parking area. We want to know everything about that building that you possibly know. So we will send out a form for the client to fill out with all of the information. If they don't have that information, we will go to city records, county records. We'll research it until we find a plausible date for when those things were replaced, so we will have a useful and remaining life factor for them.
Oh, that's great. So if, say, a new company takes over management of a resort, you can step in and do the research for them if they don't have the records.
Exactly, to the best of our ability. Now, there are times that we have to project. There are times that, the records are not available. So, and sometimes we even talk to the unit owners because they've been there long enough. They remember when that parking lot was resurfaced, or they remember when they were doing the roof.
Yeah, for sure. One question you and I had not discussed previously, but a lot of our listeners will be based in Florida. Do you have any special comments or ideas, particularly after the Champlain Towers? Of course, there's been a lot of issues there for HOA boards.
Right, there has. And that was a very sad occurrence. But that's what this new legislation is trying to correct. Is so all of these buildings that everyone has made their home and invested their time and money in are safe for them to live in. So as far as Florida, things are constantly changing. I know that everyone thinks that they're going to abolish this law. It's not going to happen. This law is here to stay. Yeah. And the best that we can do is meet the requirements to the best of our ability and move forward, because it's actually going to benefit the owners in the long run. Even though it's painful now, it will benefit them.
And Anastasia, a thought occurred that maybe some other states are going to take note of that law and formulate some kind of law on their own for their state. For those out-of-state people who are not familiar with the law, can you briefly describe what it stands for?
I can. The Structural Integrity Reserve Studies were implemented in July of 2022, and it was implemented for associations under the 718 statute and the 719 statute, which are co-ops that are 3 stories and higher. Any association that was in operation before July of 2022 is apt for this Structural Integrity Reserve Study. There are requirements for developers during turnover to do a Structural Integrity Reserve Study also. Coupled with that was the Milestone inspections that was for the here and now. Structural Integrity Reserve Studies are for future expenditures of replacement and repair of components. Milestone inspections, which is completely separate, is for buildings 25 to 30 years old, depending on where they're located, and it is for the here and now repairs.
So you all can help with those special reports as well?
We can.
Great. Wow. Well, it's a lot of work. But It's good to have somebody like you around to do it.
Well, thank you. I really enjoy my job.
Oh, that's good. So you were mentioning earlier that you published a book on reserve studies. I think that would be great for people to read. Where do you find it on your website?
It is on the homepage at the very bottom. It is called Truths and Myths, the Reserve Study. It deals with structural and traditional reserves, and it is a free download that anyone can go in, download it, read it, pass it out to your unit owners, dissect it, call us with questions. That's what it's there for.
I think it should be required reading. So, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
I do. I just want to stress that, I understand, having lived in a homeowners associations for a very long time, I understand that change is difficult, and trying to meet all these requirements sometimes is, again, a little painful, but it's going to help in the long run with your property values, with your insurance premiums, with your mortgage capabilities, and in some instances, even with your taxes. Because if the building department does not need to keep such a big eye on these condos and these buildings and these timeshares, then their taxes are going to level out a little bit more. There's so many repercussions with this that I just can't name them all. But reserves are highly important. And again, you can't stress it enough. And that's why we're here. We're different than other companies. We will talk to you. We will answer the phone. We will spend 2 hours on Teams with you to explain the report. We don't just hand it to you and say bye.
Well, you're very empathetic, and I think it would be good to partner with a company that kind of seems to have a heart, frankly. So,
well, we keep our clients. I've got clients that I've had since day one. So that is the base of our business, is our customer service.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, I sure appreciate your time, and also your participation in Resort Trades Magazine.
It's my pleasure.
Well, thank you. And to our viewers, please like, comment, share this video, particularly to other members of your association, if applicable, and get them looking at the prospects of examining what kind of service they need for their reserves. So, and also go to resorttrades.com and subscribe to our weekly e-magazine, and we wish you well.